I started looking at, well, how am I going to do trees on this site? Do I really want to add data group to my trees? So I looked at that and I discovered that display rules or named groups and display rules were the way to go with that. That you would create named groups because some trees would be in a group for the south elevation and some trees would be in a group for the north elevation in those different zones. So that would be a way to add to the display rules if you wanted trees on it. I'm not a big user of named groups, to be honest with you, but I found some interesting methods to use named groups for presentation drawings that just reading the help file, I didn't realize that you could create name groups through references. So I was thinking about how could you make a floor plan with zones without having to grab the geometry in the model and adding attributes just to change the color. So what I really wanted to do is have different colored for different units of this building. So it's a reference file for the exterior wall is a file, the central core is a file, and then the interior condo units, rather than doing them in separate reference files, I put them in all one file. But I want to highlight them individually and have rules that can gray tone out different units, maybe for marketing or presentation, that I can go in and actually have it read totally different. So I was able to grab the elements in that empty file that's referencing all the references, create a named group, and then apply a display rule. So I thought it's a really great way to not like muck around with adding more data on your models just to have different display. So I don't use name groups enough. I have to type in the dialog box because I've only used it for furniture and maybe trees, but I've made two. I've made one Unit C and Unit D, and you can quickly look at a display set to check when you're making them. Now, the disadvantage of this method is that when you add more elements in your model, you're going to have to add them to the display set versus a reference file. They would automatically come through. But I think this is another option for people to be creating drawings. So I can go to look at the display rule. So I have a cut and a forward view that's looking at display C. I haven't copied it up. I was just playing around with one and I started making a few more. So that's how I'm getting the colors of linking to a display name. So you'll see when you go to select it, it is kind of hidden. I had to find it under common elements. There's also a groups further down, but that wasn't the one that got the hook in it for me to get my rule into it. If you go up to the first one, common properties, and go to groups, and then you go to groups again, then it says within, and then the pull down those are the groups that were there, the name groups that I created. So again, I'm in an empty file. The name groups are only, this is the empty reference file. So when I create the drawing, it'll only see the name viewed from this composition model is what I'm saying. So that's the limitation. It's got to be coming from here when you create a drawing. The display rules could be in a separate DGN library, of course. So what I'm going to do is make another quick little partial unit just to save time to make one of just like the kitchen area of this other unit. But once you have the name groups, set up, or display sets, turn them into name groups, and then you go to create unit E, even though it's just going to be the kitchen. And then since it's selected, just go ahead and say add elements. See, this is why all that graphic group stuff, I don't like adding name groups on my BIM models as much, but having it, this is a reference file. This is an empty file. All it's remembering in here is going to be my drawing and my named groups. So then when we go to clear the display set and jump back into the rule, just copy or create a new one. This is fairly easy. Change the rule, the orientation of it. So you're just going to go into element, common properties, go into groups, go into groups again, within, then I'm going to choose Unit E, okay, and then go in, and I think this is just a great, quick way for zones of buildings, right? You could have, or zones of a project or whatever, so you could quickly, and not, it's writing it to an empty file, which I think is great. So now when I go into the floor plan, you'll see that it's applied that rule. So just another way to be using display rules for presentations.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.